Hello and welcome to another episode of Lectures of Fallen Wisdom. Today I'm going to talk about purpose. You have to have a kind of purpose to all these principles. You're learning lessons on how to live every day and how to live a better life and to be happy. But what's all this for? It has to be for something. It can't just be, I just want to be happy and have no purpose whatsoever. What do you want to change about this world? You can find something just that really bothers you about it. Now, we talked about the breathing and how you can breathe yourself almost out of that world. But in the meantime, while you're doing that, you can be a crusader for getting rid of something. Like somebody wants to rid the world of nuclear weapons. Somebody wants to get a handle on the gun, the murder problem in the inner cities. Somebody just wants to figure out some kind of remedy for some kind of problem that's ailing society. Whatever it is that inspires you, that makes you want to become successful, become rich, to have influence, you can't just want these things just to want them, just to be a rich guy. Because that doesn't give you the trajectory that you are going to be happy on. You have to be working towards a sort of power to change, power to do something good in order to, so all the things you acquire and all the things that you're striving for, what is it? What is your purpose? What do you want to change about this world that you're in? Now, for me, I have a very simple one. Like, I don't like those animal traps that they put out for animals to get stuck in. I just find those things totally inhumane, and I think that they need to be abolished completely. Now, people are using these things all over. I mean, whoever invented them is burning in hell. But the thing about it is that animals are dying in these things, like, in horrible ways. And so I've just kind of, like, that's the reason why I get up in the morning. Like, I want to figure out how to get rid of these traps. But I need a certain kind of influence. I need to become, like, have some kind of name in my chosen profession or whatever of artistry to do this. So, like, that's why I might want to become a famous musician or a famous writer or something like that, just to get a certain kind of influence so you can, like, spearhead a movement to just abolishing these horrendous traps in every country. I mean, it's just one example. It might be something different at a different time in my life, but right now I'm just like, I hate those traps. So do it for the animal. Do it for the suffering of these traps. Now you might want to go full on and be like, I don't think animals should be killed at all. You want to go with the vegan route. That's fine too. You have to have a cause for your life, and you have to pursue it in any way that you can. But the main way that you pursue it is by becoming influential through some kind of art or through some kind of expertise. You can become a famous doctor, a famous lawyer, a very effective lawyer. Just the point is to hone your craft, not just for its own sake, but for this larger end, this larger goal that you're setting for yourself. So all these life lessons and lectures of fallen wisdom, yes, they're for you to achieve a certain bliss state, but the bliss state is for a purpose. The bliss state is so you can be effective in carrying out this purpose. A purposeless life is an aimless life that never gets anything done. If there's nothing propelling you, you'll just sit around and watch TV all day and feel like that's fine. But there'll be something missing. There'll be something figure out and it's your purpose. And if you don't have one, you're going to be unhappy. no matter what, all these techniques you do, breathing and eating right and just doing everything perfect, if you don't have a purpose, there's something going to be missing from your psyche. And that thing is going to keep you kind of going to hedonistic pleasures to get purpose. Because when you don't have an overall central purpose that isn't a hedonistic pleasure, your hedonistic pleasures become ultra important because they're your only true purpose at that point. You're just a being that serves to satisfy its very base physical drives. Like, so you're going to overeat. You're going to be wanting sex more than most people. You're going to be insatiable, really, and never really feeling satisfied because you don't have a goal. You don't have something that you're striving for. So you don't have like something that gets you up in the morning. You just get up and you're like, what should I do? And you're like, oh, I guess I'm hungry. Let me just stuff my face. And then you just kind of like sleep, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, let me watch some TV. Let me just shit this day away. No, instead you're just like, no, let me like apply my craft. Let me do my art. Let me do this shit. Let me get to a better place so I can like accomplish this larger goal that I have. That's the way you want to be. So what is your larger goal? Yes, it has to benefit the world in some way. It can't be the destruction of the world. Okay? It can't be anything negative. It has to be something positive. So just figure out what it is that you care about and do it. And it can't be just like banging some chick, you know, like it has to be a lofty goal that like helps the society. Okay? I don't think you're banging the chick helps society. You might be able to convince me otherwise, but you need to be thinking on a level that is like, you know, godlike, because you can accomplish a lot of things as just a single man. I mean, you look at some of these, you know, larger than life figures that have come through history. It's just been one guy spearheading it. So with that as a kind of overall backdrop, here's some more just advice on how to live. The body can live forever. The body is very resilient, but the body needs a break from an intake. So on the food perspective, you need to give your body at least 16 hours of no food and just nothing coming in. Once you do that, you also then have to make sure you're eating a ton of fiber, because fiber feeds the biodiversity of your gut bacteria. Your gut bacteria eats nothing but fiber. You personally don't get any nutritional value out of fiber. And I always thought fiber was something that's good for cleaning you out, you know, giving you a good bowel movement. But that's really just a secondary effect. The main effect is it's feeding the beneficial gut bacteria, which then metabolizes all the other food you eat, which then mixes with is able to absorb out of the nutrients, helps your body absorb out of the nutrients that come through it, all the vitamins that the food that you do feed on goes through you. If you don't have a backdrop of a very healthy gut bacteria, your digestion of your normal food, of your non-fiber food, is completely degraded. And all these diets that are, you know, low carb, and they're very, very good. That's probably the way you should keep it. Like, try to limit your carb level, but you can get away with eating, you know, some bread or some pizza here and there, as long as you're eating a lot of fiber all day long when you're eating. And I recommend eating within a 6-hour window and leaving your body alone to just be hungry. Because in that process, your gut bacteria they're able to just get a break from the influx of substances coming into your gut, and they make themselves healthier. And your whole body scours itself for any dead tissue or tissue that needs to just be swept from the body. It can use dead viruses and tissue and even live viruses as food, and that's how it keeps you from accumulating a whole bunch of dead, unused body parts in your body. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but you just accumulate like dead tissue, and that tissue becomes the festering ground for all kinds of diseases. So you just want to make sure your pipes are completely cleaned out every day, and a good way to do that, the only way to do that, is through fasting. Just drinking water, drink some tea. I usually use lemon balm tea because it chills you out and it makes you like really blissful. And if you throw a little bit of a pinch of stevia in it, it's like, it tastes great, and it creates a bliss state, and you can just sip on that all day long until the hour comes. Now, I usually stop eating around 10 p.m., so that allows me to go from like 10 to 10 and then add 6 hours, so that leaves me to around 4 o'clock when I can eat again, 4 or 5 o'clock. I don't know if I'm doing the math correctly, but yes, wait, 10, 4 o'clock, more or less. If I stop eating at 10 p.m., I can start eating again at 4 p.m. That's really not that hard to do. And if you just do it, you make sure you're eating a ton of fiber. Every time you do eat, you eat a lot of fiber with whatever you eat. You can basically get away with eating some pretty horrible stuff because your body is just given a chance to catch up and just get rid of it and to metabolize all of it, especially in a kind of a hungry state. And that's when your testosterone level as a man is at its highest, is when you are fasted. You've been fasting for at least 18 hours. If you fast for like 3 days, at the end of the 3 days, your testosterone level is like double. It's weird. So that's like, if you really want to build some muscle, like fast for a day or 24 hours and then go and fucking work out before you eat. And you will get like really good results because your testosterone level will be way up. Now, this is for guys. I don't think for women. I think women, it's a different system. I'm not sure what happens to the testosterone, but if they still will benefit from fasting in a parallel way that a man would. It does nothing but good for you. But it's just so important that when you are eating, you're just eating some kind of fiber, and the fiber that is most beneficial is just raw vegetables. Raw vegetables or cooked vegetables that aren't starchy, that don't spike your blood sugar, that are mainly not even digested by you. I mean, you eat them, they kind of fill you up, but they're being fed on by your gut bacteria. Your gut bacteria then become more diverse, more healthy, and then they allow you to metabolize and absorb the nutrients from the food that you do feed on. And that is, in a nutshell, how you can perpetuate your body and keep it from aging for years and years and years if you just follow this pattern. And it becomes a lot easier, too, to breathe and to keep up a mental, keep on top of your mental state and keep away from mental wandering, which we've talked about in earlier episodes, is really the way in which you drift into depression and unhappiness, and you start to get out of the bliss state. So maintaining the bliss state is the key here. Maintaining the bliss state for a purpose, as I mentioned at the beginning, and for the purpose of your choosing. And then how do you get there? And so this is eating ways doing it. Now, the best way of eating is to eat vegan, is to eat no meat. But I understand that some people don't want to do that. And, there's a way to clean out your body, even if eating meat now and then, you're eating something else that's not so healthy. You just have to make sure that you're really religious about this, because it will just make things so much easier. And then, but the problem is people can't really go about doing this if they don't have a purpose to do it for. That's why sticking on these intermittent fasting diets is so tough for a lot of people, is because it's not connected to their purpose. It's just the purpose unto itself. And of course, the drives take over. The hungers take over. They become the defining purpose for you. They're the things that give you meaning in life. You need to get meaning from somewhere. And if you're not getting them from a purpose that you're going after, well, then you're going to get them from your drives and from your appetites. And those appetites are going to pull you in all kinds of directions. They're going to leave you bloated on the floor, wondering why you can't stick to this intermittent fasting diet. It's impossible to stick to a diet of any kind if you don't have a purpose on top of the diet of why you want to be in good shape. If you want to just be in good shape to look good in pictures, that's not enough. Vanity is not a purpose. A purpose has to be beyond yourself. And if you can't see beyond yourself, then you got to go to a psychiatrist, because you probably have some kind of sociopath nature, and you need to work through it and figure out a way to empathy for other creatures beside yourself, because that's why other people are around, is to give you purpose, to work through them to get things done. And you need to improve yourself every day and make yourself into that force of nature that can get done your purpose. And you need to do that by following the Lectures of Fallen Wisdom principles, taking deep oxygen breaths through your nose, making sure when you sleep, you're sleeping with your mouth closed, because if you sleep with your mouth open, you will not get a good sleep, and your mental capacity will be affected. When when you haven't gotten enough sleep, when you just cannot exercise any kind of willpower over your eating, whether you just cannot do the intermittent fast, that's a main culprit, is not getting enough sleep. But this really, you can just solve all this by just finding a purpose, finding something that you want to get done in this world. That'll take care of all the motivation you need, and just never forget what your purpose is and why you're doing the things you're doing. You're doing it for that. You're doing it for that. I'm doing it for these horrible, suffering animals rotting away and crying inside traps after the people who laid the trap actually died. That's happened in a couple instances where it's like these people that lay traps and then they go in their house and fucking die. And then these animals get trapped in them and never get taken out or killed or anything. They have to suffer dying in this trap. So that's my purpose. That's how I was able to come to that purpose. I just felt bad for these animals. There's a lot of other animal cruelty going on. You can take your own pick from so many different ways in which animals have been abused and are being abused. But, you can take your cause to humans as well. So I don't think you have to, I think you have to find something, but it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as you have it. So that's just some of the ways in which you can best fulfill your purpose. And I hope this helps you. Thanks for listening.